Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to the expert session number 4. Today we are privileged to have with us Sir Kashif Kamran. He comes with a teaching experience of more than 15 years and he teaches AA, AAA and SBL at KKDL. He is also affiliated to the Zivit College in India. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time and doing this for the benefit of the students. A hearty welcome to you. Now, Punya will begin with the first segment.
Okay, so we'll begin with the first
Sure.
segment, which is some of the questions which are asked by our audience. So the first question is, when is the right time to attempt SBL paper? Like most of the people do say that SBL should be attempted at last once we are done with all of the three professional papers. And somebody says that we should club it with SBR. Someone says we should do it at the first. So what is your opinion about the same?
Yes, I think it should be done in the order in which ACCA has put it in. So logically, it should be done immediately after you have completed your papers till financial management or the F9 paper. You've completed all set of papers till F9. So it should be done immediately and should be done as the very first paper at the strategic professional level because that's the order in which ACCA has put in. So definitely has a purpose. So should not change the order doing SPR first and then SPL. No, I should I don't agree with it.
Okay. So the second question is that SBL doesn't have very vast syllabus if we see, and usually students are confused as to from where should they study. Like, should they study from the books, the study books which are available, or should they use some other resources? Should they take classes from for SBL? So, what is your thinking about the same? From where should they study?
Yes, I would agree that they should take classes firstly because coming from the applied skill papers to a strategic professional level, there's a big change in terms of the maturity of the case study they face in the strategic level exams. So I think they should not opt for a self-study mode for SPL immediately, unless and until you've studied most of your ACCA paper on a self-study mode. That's perfectly fine. But I think engaging yourself with a college or a tutor is must. Secondly, if you don't want to engage yourself with a college or a tutor, is book advisable. Honestly, I've been teaching this paper since September 18 when it was introduced by ACCA. So I don't find the book as essential in SBL. There are plenty of technical articles which ACCA has published over their website. I think that is the right knowledge you need for SBL, and with a lot of examining team supports like examiner reports, examiner answers, and stuff like that. I think that really supplements your study, even if you are doing a self-study approach to SPL. So I don't find the space of the book because it's not a rote learn paper. It's more building around the concepts and it's more building around the case study. And you need to get your answer out of the case study. And most of the time, we see the SPL paper being very journalized. So even if you go with a book reading, you will not find much of the topics examined directly in the SPL.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I suggest a book should not be the case with SPL.
Okay. So the next question is that ACCA has recently released the pre-seen material for SBL, and many students I've seen they are very confused as to how to approach them, and some of them are even so afraid of the pre-seen material. So, what is your take on it? Like, how should they approach the pre-seen material?
Yes, exactly. Pre-seen for September 23 exams have been released by ACCA on the 22nd of August. So it's been like 5 days since it has been released in. The students should understand, for example, when this SPL paper was a 4-hour paper up till June 23, students used to get to the exam hall or exam environment and they spent 1 hour reading a lot of information. Now they should realize that sort of reading they used to do in the real exam has been given to them beforehand, 14 days before the exam.
Yeah.
So they are sitting relaxed at home and they're reading through a pre-seen material which will give them information about the industry in which the client operates or the organization operates, and the information about the organization, just like the current pre-seen which
Yeah.
is about the airline industry, and the organization is the Courtjets company, which is an airline company. Now, the student should read it on a single day, just like a story, and you read through the 11, 12 pages of information. And while you're reading through, whichever information you find as important or as critical in your perspective, just copy paste that on a Microsoft Word file and make your own summary in the last 40 minutes or 120 minutes. You have already copy pasted the critical aspects of it on the Microsoft Word. So that will become your summary for the later days ahead of exam, and you can keep revising that summary, and you can be more familiar with the facts given to you in the pre-scene. Because see, if you, what you need to do for pre-scene is to remember the facts so that you can recall them on the day of exam.
Yeah.
So for the recalling purpose, you cannot go back every day and do the pre-scene. That's wrong. Read pre-scene once and in a perfect manner, and just extract the summary of the out of the pre-scene, which will vary from a student to student because everyone has a different perspective. Or if you are taking any sessions from any tutor, then tutor will be guiding you about the best way to extract a summary out of it. And that summary should be revised, obviously, on a daily basis, just to get familiarized with the content of the pre-scene. But it's not that every day should be spent, every hour should be spent on pre-scene in the last 14 days, because you need to focus on your revisions and past paper practice as well.
Okay. So the last question in this segment is that SBL is mostly discursive paper. We don't have a lot of practical or numericals in SBL, and that is the reason most of the students get confused as to how should they approach the discursive part of it. So, what is your approach on that? Like, what would you advise the students? How should they approach the discursive aspect of it?
Yes, you're totally true. It's like a discursive paper, a descriptive paper. You have very less numerical elements. You do get sometime numerical elements into the paper, like the financial analysis part in the SPL, but that's very rarely. But the best approach to SPL is the case connectivity.
Hmm.
You read the requirement, you read the task, you know what to do. Now, having got an idea what to do, you should connect that with the case study. uh, and you should identify the information from the case. You should extract information from the case alongside your requirement, and try to produce an answer which is well synchronized or well blended with the case material. Because the more case specific answer you will write, you will pass the SPL in the first attempt. But
Yeah.
if you try to bring the bookish knowledge or your rote learn knowledge to SBL, you are moving towards the failure. So I think it is a descriptive paper, but a paper which is case oriented. So even if you are very less prepared on SBL, and you can pick up the information from the case study, you can still develop an answer very well, because the information in the case is so productive by the examining team that it will really help you build up a very good answer.
Yeah.
All right, so with this, we now come to the second segment, which is some questions that we would like to ask you. Now, the examiner who's
Sure.
checking the answer scripts has so many scripts to correct. So, what is something that the students can do to differentiate their answers, to stand out, to impress the marker?
See, I think you should follow the examining team which ACC has published so many times to make an impressive answer and to stand out among so many other student scripts which the marking team is checking. So, what you can do is you should follow the journal professionalism, and particularly this is important for a theoretical paper, that your presentation is very good. Now, the exams are done over the computer, so that has improved students' presentation overall. When it used to be the pen and paper exams, we used to have more bad handwritings and everything. That's not the case anymore. But still, using the headings and the subheadings, making something bold, making something underlined, presenting the paper well, using the shorter paragraph, answer without taking a break. So I think presenting the answer in shorter paragraphs with headings and subheadings will make marker easier. And if you're making the life of the mark 4 marks in the paper.
Yeah.
So I think it's about journal professionalism, about presenting your answer in a very good manner. And because it's a theoretical paper, remember the marker has to read a lot.
Yeah.
So if the marker has to read a lot, you should make his life easier rather difficult for you to pass the paper.
Totally agree with you, sir. So the next question is, what are the techniques that you suggest to maximize the professional marks?
I think, sorry, I didn't get you because I think there's some break in the voice.
Okay, so sir, my question was, what do you think that the students can do to maximize their professional marks that they score in the SBL paper?
Yes, definitely. Professional marks is a very important part of your SBL paper, 20% of the total marks you have in SBL. And it's very important that in the professional marks, each requirement will ask you to demonstrate a professional skill. Now, you need to read that statement of the examiner very well, that if the examiner is telling you to demonstrate skepticism skill or commercial acumen skill, how to demonstrate that, because examiner will also be telling you that as well. So it's not just like the examining team telling
Yeah.
you that professional skill marks are available for demonstrating skepticism and they put a full stop after that. No, they will tell you that professional skepticism skill in how, and they continue the statement. So if you read that full statement, you will get an idea how the examining team wants you to demonstrate a skill, because it's not the rote learning of a skill that I go to the exam hall with the meaning of the skill in my mind. No, it's about demonstration of that skill, and the examining team will be guiding you how to demonstrate. Now that's number one. Number two, we were discussing in the previous question, is marks. So if you give proper headings, subheadings, you use the short paragraphs, repeating a point. So if you're repeating a point, you are losing the professional mark. So you're not repeating the points, and you are presenting the answer in the format requested. That will also be helping you gain the professional marks in SPL. So I think that's the way you can excellence on the professional marks in SPL.
All right, sir. So the last question in this segment is that the ACCA has a few months back launched the Study Hub. So do you think that the resources that the Study Hub provides are useful for the preparation in SBL?
Yes, definitely, because anything coming from ACCA is useful. We can provide that, but I think the ACCA Study Hub is new currently, so we should give some time for it to develop, and for some time for the students and the tutors to understand it. Because even though the hub has come in the Study Hub, BPP and Kaplan continues to be the official publishers until 2024, so that can be still used in as resources. But yes, I think within the next 3 months and 6 months, there will be maturity, there will be better understandings between all the stakeholders using the Study Hub, and things will be better. But again, at the end of the day, if a resource is coming from ACCA, its exam importance, its significance to the exam paper increases a lot. So in future, I think from 2024 onwards, students should start using Study Hub more actively than they're using for 2023 exams, and the tutors should also encourage using the same.
Okay, so let's start with our last segment, which is like a fun, light-hearted session segment. So the first question is that how do you like to spend your time when you're not teaching or when you're not working?
See, when I'm not teaching, when I'm not working, so definitely I would like to prioritize my time with my family, with my wife, with my children's, going out somewhere, having leisure, because I think you need to recreate yourself a lot as well. So that's how I
Yeah.
spend my free time, which is when I'm not engaged in any lectures.
Okay. So now I'll be asking you some this or that questions. so you can answer them as fast as you can. So the first question is
Okay, sure.
teaching or studying?
Teaching.
ACCA Study Hub or the traditional BPP Kaplan kits?
I believe the ACCA Study Hub, because as a teacher, I never went into books much. I always like building concepts. So again, at the end of the day, to me, resources are not important. It's about the concept building, which is important. So I always used to tell my student not to go at least in the PPP book, because that was too descriptive book. So I think the Study Hub is better now, coming from ACCA.
Okay. So next is taking live classes or marking answer scripts.
Uh, Taking live classes, marking answer scripts is very difficult to me, honestly. Even to date, with so much experience, it's something I hate. Even though I check them because that's part of my critical success factor, but honestly, this is something I really hate about.
Okay. Audit or SBL? Like, which one do you like teaching more?
Definitely audit, because that's one of my core specialization. That's where I started my education career 15 years ago. So definitely my inclination towards audit is more. Even though I enjoy teaching SBL, that's not the case.
Yeah.
SBL is very diversified subject, so you enjoy it a lot. But audit being my first teaching paper, so I own it. So I really enjoy teaching audit paper.
Okay. And the last question is, have you ever watched any Bollywood movie?
Not. I think I used to watch it way ago when I was a teenager, but I still don't remember any names. Since then, it's been not the case. A lot of people in my family do watch it, but I normally, if I go for any TV content, I mostly watch the English movies on Netflix.
Okay, okay, that's great. So, at the end, we would just like to ask you one question for all the people who are giving September attempt, and what would be your advice to them? How should they proceed? In like, I think a week is left now. So, for the audit students also, for SBL students also, what would be your one tip which you want to give them?
See, within a week left for both AAA and SPL exams or the AA exams, it's important this week should be spent on just a revision of your weak areas. Everyone knows what their weak areas are. Primarily for all the three papers, you should focus on the mock given by ACCA for September 23. Particularly for the SBL paper, should spend time on the pre-seen. Ensure you are familiar with the pre-seen content. That is very, very critical. And just one more important thing is that 24 hours before the exam, don't study anything. You need to relax your mind.
Yeah,
You need to control your stress level. So a lot of time students study right up to the day of exam, which is a
yeah.
very wrong approach. So I think you need to give yourself a break 24 hours before the real exam. That will really help you work at the best level on the day of exam.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much. This is it for the session that we have today. I would really like to thank you from the bottom of my heart to take to take out time when this is like your peak busy season, considering that exams are just around the corner. So I hope that this will benefit the ACCA students out there. Thank you so much for doing this
Sure.
with us.
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's a great honor serving the student community in any way out.